All right, all right, all right. Happy Sunday, everybody. If you haven't been here before, welcome to my page. My name is 12 Gage. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back and giving me an opportunity to fill your mind and your heart full of information that's valuable to your daily dosage of endorphin filled greatness. As you can tell, I'm on one tonight. I thought I'd hop on here and just basically talk a little bit, give a little bit of positivity to the YouTube streets, and let you guys know that it's been a wonderful weekend on this end. Had a lot of good things happen this weekend that were positive. Got to spend time with my family and some wonderful friends. And sorry about that. My microphone disconnected there for a second. But like the title says, Sunday Satire with 12 Gauge. You know, what I want to talk about today is how we talk to ourselves and how we either empower ourselves or how we tear ourselves down. You know, I've been guilty of that many times in my life as far as tearing myself down with the self-defeating thoughts and behaviors that were linked to those thoughts, you know. It's not always a good thing to allow yourself to go into a dark place by yourself, you know, where you can continue to just go round and round and round in your head without the opportunity to get out of that situation. You know, most of the time, whenever you hear individuals that are stuck in that mindset, you know, it's easy to say, well, people should just stop doing this or stop doing that. But it's not always that easy. At least in my case, it wasn't. And like I tell you guys all the time, I can't speak about other people. I can only speak on myself. So I'm just kind of sharing past experiences with you guys in order to give you guys some strengths, hopes, and experiences. And if anybody's struggling, maybe they can, you know, get some hope from these podcasts. So, like I was just saying, you know, whenever you're in a self defeating spot, it's hard to get yourself out of that because you, as they say, you start to tear yourself down because A, you have too many options. B, you're not certain with your decision making skills. Or C, you just have failed too many times that you don't have confidence in yourself to make a decision. Any of those three things can keep you from moving forward in life. And when you're stuck, you're stuck. And most of the time, and I'm willing to say that most of us, and even the ones that are probably going to listen to this on replay, have been in a position in life where they make decisions and they wish they could go back and change them. Not because of any other reason than maybe that decision wasn't the best decision for me. And I want to share an example on that. You know, when I first became a therapist, you know, I wanted to save the world. I wanted to be able to help people and direct them into a different mindset, a different way of thinking, a different way of coping. And I was on fire for that avenue. But at one point, it felt like I wasn't making a difference in people's lives. And I got discouraged because I told myself, why did I get into this field if I'm not making a difference in people's lives? And it took me a while before I could understand that you can't change people. You can try to love them to change. You can try to guilt them to change. You can try to show them that there's better ways. But in the end, people have to be wanting to do that on their own. because, as I've shared in other streams and other podcasts, I've had people try to do that to me, and all I did was just chase me away. It made me run away because I felt like I was being moved faster than I was ready to change because I wasn't confident with my decisions. You get used to making decisions, whether they're positive or negative, and after a while, that becomes your calling card. So anytime that you make a decision, you always go back on the last decision that you made. Was it positive? Was it negative? So if it was a negative one, then you're already behind the eight ball and you're thinking, well, my last couple of decisions have been not so good choices. So therefore, this one probably won't either. And I don't know if you've been there, but I've been there many a times. Many a time. More than I can count. And all that didn't really start to change in my life until I started to understand that sometimes you just need to slow down. And the way you talk to yourself dictate the outcome of what your reality is going to be. And that's what I said earlier. The way you talk to yourself, the way you talk to people around you, are you spreading positivity or are you spreading negativity? I used to talk to myself very negative. I used to say awful things about myself. I used to compare myself to other people. I used to always feel that I wasn't this enough or that enough. And therefore, the self defeating behaviors and thinking continued because I was trying to compare my life to other people. And most of the time, we're not at the same point in life at the same time. So you could never compare your life to other people. It's kind of like now, 20 years later, removed from all the decisions that I've made early on in my counseling career to now, I've learned. I've learned how to not allow certain situations to be personalized by me. I used to want to save the world. I wanted to just make people understand a better way of living. I wanted to show them that there was a better way. But you know what? In reality, you can't. You can plant a seed and then you must walk away. And that's what I learned because people will resent you. They'll be angry with you. They'll run away from you. They won't want you around if you do it the other way. And I was just lucky that most of the people that were coming to see me in the counseling arena were being sent there by the criminal justice system, so they had to be there. They couldn't leave on their own reconnaissance. So I had a captive audience. But I'm just talking about generalized people in their lives, I see all the time on these YouTube streets how people say, well, if this person would just do this, or if this person would just do that, things would be different. Well, most of the time, people know what they're doing. They just don't have the confidence to change or know how to change. We take for granted sometimes that people know exactly what we know when it comes to changing. And oftentimes, it's not that easy. It's kind of like being a millionaire and having a homeless person standing side by side. The millionaire could sit there and tell the homeless person how to save his money, how to do all these things with his money to be a millionaire just like him. And the homeless person may want to be a millionaire, but the first struggle that the homeless person has, they're going to give up. They're going to give up because it's not coming fast enough. And I was there. I was there before. I wanted things to happen so quickly, so fast. I was talking to a friend tonight and I was telling them about how I would give my job 15 minutes. 15 minutes, the first smoke break. I would work. They give you that first smoke break, probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours into your shift. And then they say, okay, go have a smoke break or whatever. And I'd say, okay, I'm going to go get my cigarettes out of my car. And at that point, I'd get in my car and drive off and never look back. And I did this countless times until I ran out of places to work. So the last place that I got a job at, they had doors that locked and you couldn't leave until your shift was over. So I stayed on that job for 3 years. You know, sometimes it takes what it takes to learn new lessons. Sometimes you have to reach your bottom to have that understanding. Hey, I can't go any further. This is as far as I can go. I got to do something different. And that's what I had to do. I couldn't leave that place, so I had to work. Even though I left to go home, I always said, I'm not going back tomorrow. But guess what I do? I taught myself how to get up, get dressed, and go to work. And I don't know if it's the fact that I didn't know how to do that or if I didn't have the motivation to do that. I'm not talking for everybody because I can only talk for myself. But at that point, I didn't have that motivation to get up and go. I felt like a victim, like life was owing me something that I only saw that it owed me. Nobody saw it but me. And the only reason I became a therapist wasn't because I wanted to help people. Don't get it twisted. I got tired of doing dead end jobs. And I said, you know what? I want to be a therapist so I can go to work and dress up, so I can wear nice clothes. How weird is that? Not even to say I want to be a therapist to help people to do something different with their lives. No, I wanted to do it because I wanted to dress up. I was tired of getting dirty. I was tired of doing medial jobs, things of that nature. It wasn't until I actually started learning about therapy and understanding it that I finally let go and I finally gave in to what I was supposed to be doing. Because even after I became licensed, um, I was lost. I didn't know whether I should do this for a living or not. So I sat down and I had a talk with my higher power and I said, I really don't know if I should be doing this for a living because I don't feel like I can make anybody's life different because my life is so messed up. If you want me to do this, then you'll guide me and you'll lead me and you'll do what's needed in order for me to get there. And 20 years later, here I am, still doing it. And the reason that I get on this mic is to really share some of these strengths, hopes, and experiences because I know that there's people out there that have times in their lives when they don't feel like they can do what they're needing to do because life is hard, life is difficult. And if you don't understand how it is to really take a moment and breathe long enough to get your life in order, you're constantly going to be chasing the unknown because you don't have a clue what's going on. And that's where I was. I never took a moment to breathe because I thought that if I slowed down, I could never get going again. And you say, well, how does that have anything to do with what we talk about here as far as true crime? Well, true crime has a lot to do with it because when you're at that position, when you don't feel like life is going your way, it creates a lot of anger, it creates a lot of hostility, it creates a lot of uncertainty. And for some people, if they're given the right opportunity They end up hurting people for the dumbest reasons, and they mess up their whole lives for nothing, for a moment in time. I did a video the other day about children and them hurting themselves and taking themselves out, and how that epidemic was way more problematic now with social media than it ever was without it. You need to take a look at that. Take a moment to think about that. What about social media is so detrimental to innocent mindsets that they end up hurting themselves because they're competing with an imagery of what other people are based on how easy they have it, how they don't have to struggle, what kind of support they have behind them, this, that, and the other. Look at on the other side of the coin. Like I've told you before, there's kids out here that are being raised by grandparents, kids that are being raised by step parents, kids that are being raised with a one parent household. And if they're not being showed everything, they're looking for other areas to gain that acceptance. And sometimes it's difficult to get those kids back on track because who are you to compete with something that's viewed as cool and exciting while you're just an old guy? What do you know? You've never lived in my shoes. You've never been young because for from some delusional reason, when you're younger, you think that older people than you don't understand you because they've never been young. Well, they had to have been young to get older. I don't know where people get that delusion, but they get it. I get told that all the time. I have an individual session at 10 in the morning. I'm sure he'll look at me. He's 13 years old. I'm sure he'll look at me like, what do you know about my life? What can you possibly give me? I'm 13. You're older in life. What can you give me to help me? Because I think that you don't know anything that I deal with on a daily. Well, the common denominator in life is pain and happiness. Those people in pain, most of the time, are very happy. And those people that are happy, most of the time, they manage to get the pain out of their lives. Those are the common denominators in life that can finally get somebody some peace of mind, peace of heart, and allow them to feel different in their lives. Now, I hope this makes sense because, I just wanted to hop on here for a little bit and discuss some positivity, some satire. Not really a lot of satire because I don't have a lot going on tonight. So I'm in a chill state of mind. Spent some hot tub time yesterday. It still relaxed me so much that I'm just like ready to go to bed. Um, but if any of you are hurting, any of you are lost out there without the motivation to continue going because you feel like you've reached the end of your rope, tie a knot in that bad boy and hang on because you're not alone. You're not alone. You only feel alone because in those dark times, you feel like nobody understands and nobody cares. Well, you're wanting the wrong people to care. You're wanting the wrong people to understand. If you want those people that are selfish and self centered and even narcissistic or entitled, they're never going to understand you. They're never going to care. That's why you should get an understanding about what you're going through so that you can lift yourself up when times are tough. Because at the end of every cycle that we deal with, we are the strongest bond that we'll ever have with anything in this world. And I know parents don't believe me with that. I've had countless parents say, well, that's not true. The strongest bond I have are with my kids. No. How can you give something to somebody that you don't have yourself? So if you don't have a strong understanding and a self-awareness of who you are and what you're about, how could you ever give that to your kids? How could you pass along love if you don't love yourself? How can you pass along trust if you don't trust yourself? How can you genuinely give somebody something that doesn't come freely from you to you? And that's not being selfish. That's not being conceited. That's self care and that's self love. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to hop off here, get ready for my work week. Y'all take care of each other, stay vigilant, and I'll see you soon. Maestro, cue the music.